Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, I'm in a bit of a chipper mood today. I just read, Aaron Parnas showed up on my YouTube feed with breaking news. Apparently, a federal trade court, a three-panel judge federal trade court, rejected the Trump administration's authority to institute tariffs on other countries. The ruling from a three-judge panel at the New York-based Court of International Trade came after several lawsuits arguing Trump had exceeded his authority and left the U.S. trade policy dependent on his whims. Trump is doing this under his tariffs under the Emergency Powers Law. This is something Congress could shut down and has chosen not to do it. So lawsuits were brought, a three-judge panel reviewed, and ruled that he can't implement these tariffs. Now, whenever Trump removes the tariffs, the stock market does well. When he threatens them or imposes them, the stock market crashes. This led to a rather humorous acronym that came out of it. Sorry if I'm pausing, I'm getting the articles up. This acronym was called TACO, TACO, like the Mexican food. It was coined by the Financial Times' Robert Armstrong. And the term TACO stands for Trump Always Chickens Out. The markets generally sell off when Trump makes his tariff threats and recover when he backs down. When asked about this during a press conference, Trump was visibly offended when somebody said, define what TACO was, and said it was associated with his tariff policies and him chickening out. He said the question was nasty. You call that chickening out? It's called negotiation. Adding that he sets a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, a little bit, until the figure's more reasonable. No, he chickens out. He wakes up in the morning and decides what he's going to do or just makes up stuff on the spot. So, yeah, Mr. Thin Skin there. Don't you remember when, who's that TV psychiatrist? Dr. Phil was like trying to tell Trump how thick-skinned he was. And Trump, cut him off to say, I'm really thin-skinned. Yeah, it's that. So, I want to read on Trump in his taco because he's offended. It was a really nasty question. Boy, anything that hurts his ego is a nasty question. What a man baby. Tell you what. Okay, so it's unfortunately it's Wednesday. It would be more interesting if if this interview came up on Tuesday. But let's see about Trump and Taco Tuesdays. All right, entertainment purpose only. Let's be entertained. How is Trump emotionally dealing with finding out that he's being called a chicken? Okay, so we've got the 9 of coins here as the foundation of the reading. This should be the woman showing appreciation for all the wealth that she has, but if you don't appreciate what you have, you're just kind of entitled and never satisfied. This might actually describe Trump really well, that he has all these trappings, yet he doesn't appreciate anything that he has. There's no joy that's gotten from this. And it's crossed with agreements. Oh, in Chariot. Okay. But where are we going with this? I'm asking about Taco. I don't know if I'm getting Taco. So what we have here is wealth and appreciation of wealth, agreements, and things moving forward, progressing. Now, the low energy for the Chariot is progressing wildly out of control. If it's planned, then you have a slow path forward, but it's going to grind forward here. I'm just going to throw the cards to see where this is going. We got the 6 of coins in the past. Strength card is current. We got the Page of Wands on the overarching energy. The lesson to be learned is the 4 of Cups. And then the Page of Pentacles is the outcome. So what do we have here? I think this is Trump. wanting the money and coming up with a plan for self-enrichment that can't be stopped. He's all about money and being, having all the money. And when you have the money, you have the control. That's what he's learned in all of this. And I think he's trying to take, when I say this is what he's learned through all this, I mean how his father gave him control of the Trump fortune, and then all his siblings and all his nieces and nephews had to grovel at his feet because he held all the money, he held all the power and all the control, and he can make them dance on a whim, fight for it, contest for it, where he got to be the judge and he could be entertained torturing his family members. Okay, same thing he does with his kids, as has been reported. So why not just up it several magnitudes and try and hold the whole world hostage and have them dancing around like a dog wanting a treat? And that's where we've got in the past. It's like taking the power of the control of the purse and then putting it on steroids so that he can control everything that's going on in the world. That's where he's going with the tariffs. Again, I was asking about the taco. Trump always changed his mind. This is what he sees. That he's come up with this great idea that the world doesn't like, but it's his message, his novel idea that's done this. That's kind of what he sees. With the taco, again, Trump he doesn't appreciate the wealth that he has. People make deals with him, but they're superficial deals because he doesn't honor his own deals. And he always changes the deals at the last minute because he always thinks that he's getting jacked around. And he's literally the guy who buys, not that he would be the guy who buys the $200,000 car and then want to cancel the whole deal unless he gets a free set of floor mats. A set of $200 floor mats on a $200,000 car. But if you don't give him those floor mats for free, well, then we're going to cancel the whole thing. It'll go to a dealership that will do that. And he's cheap. Asking about Taco, yeah, people make deals with him, but he's the poor man's idea of a wealthy man. And this is the card that's key here, the strength. He has no strength. He's a coward. He's chicken. The minute the markets start spinning out of control, he has to change his actions and retract what he's done. People start telling him the impact of his tariffs on other countries, and then he doesn't like the news because he can't have the markets tanking because then his popularity will tank. So he has to be in flux and come up with new money plans. He's really unpredictable. These page cards here, messaging of his actions with money and such, they're unpredictable. It's not mature. It's mercurial. There's not a lot of, trust me, he doesn't like being called chicken. He does not like that at all. But unfortunately, his actions have warranted that type of behavior. I'm curious, and it was a woman who brought the question up during the press conference. And I'm wondering if that grinds on him even more, because not only was it not a man like Pete Hegseth that brought it up, a woman calling him chicken and wanting his comment on that. That's kind of like the messenger. Not that anybody could call him chicken, but the last person he wants to hear that is a female reporter doing it because he's a sexist pig. And he's very thin-skinned. How is he handling that emotional response? The double card, not well. He's probably planning his vendetta against whoever came across a death card. He probably banned the woman for even asking the question. The Hermit, wow, 4 out of 4 major arcana here. How is he feeling about it? He's fuming. He's going to find out who said it. In this article, I already told you who said it, but he wants to find out who's saying stuff like this, and he wants to end their career. How dare you say that about Donald Trump the greatest president of the United States. He wants those people gone. Do not be surprised if the woman who asked this question suddenly doesn't get to go to press conferences anymore in the White House. But those are major, major, major cards. This is, you got the double card, you got the hermit card, the star card. He's very thin-skinned. He cannot handle that level of criticism because he thinks he's the star. But his star is fading. And this might psychologically really, really impact him about his star fading because, people are mocking him. This is the thing that Linda G has often seen where, people throwing tomatoes and overripe fruit at him, that sort of thing. This is kind of the equivalent of that. He's being ridiculed. And he's being told to his face he's being ridiculed. His handlers would never, ever let him hear about the taco story, and it got to him. So he's probably really upset with his handlers, too, his yes men, because he's not hearing about this stuff. Boo-hoo. 78 years old, almost 79. Maybe he can plan his birthday party or something like that. Switching gears just a little bit, the court just ruled, the report panel judge in New York just ruled that he can't do what he's doing with tariffs. What is Trump in the White House's next move? Does he obey the court order? That's the last thing. That's like when all other options fail, he would do that. So he's got he's got a few options. One, he can try and take the case up to the Supreme Court because, they owe him. Two, he could probably try to get Congress to, Mike Johnson to take over his tariffs. Or three, he could temporarily pause or temporarily agree with them because it gives him an out. I was going to institute the tariffs, but the court said I couldn't, and then victimize himself. How the court doesn't know what they're talking about, and people should hate these judges, but then he gets him out of a sticky situation that he doesn't know how to handle. The last choice ever is saying, oh, well, guess I lost that one, because it doesn't happen with him. So what happens with what's Trump in the White House's next move with regards to these tariffs and the court's ruling? Judgment. Okay, that sounds to me like they're going to challenge it. What's crossed with? Judgment and the Seven of Coins with the Magician underneath it. Yeah, here comes the spin cycle. The three-panel judge has made their judgment, and now he has to figure out his next steps and what opportunity this presents. Again, all the options are still on the table. The most likely ones are going to the Supreme Court because that's the easiest, right? Because then he can do whatever he wants. The more difficult path is going through Congress. But he's going to try and create something, most likely an appeal of the judgment. In the past, you got the high priestess, So, secrets, being given advice, guidance. I don't think he gets the best guidance on that. He really doesn't. Where are we going to go with this? Again, I think he's been told stuff, but he's surrounded by yes men. So he's never told no. He's only told yes. And I don't think he listens to his lawyers, but certainly the lawyers he has around him will always go to bat for him. Current situation is the Four of Coins, trying to hold on to power, hold on to control. So he uses the tariffs as a way to control the world. He's not ready to give up the control of the world yet. He needs that control probably to keep himself enriched. Ooh, that's a problem. Overarching energy is the Death card. This court ruling is a significant setback for him. He's not completely out for the count, but this is a big setback. So he can't go down the path he's going down. He's at a crossroads. He has to change the paths he's on. In other words, he can't just ignore the courts and keep doing what he's doing. The courts have ruled against him. So now he's at a fork in the road. Does he go to the Supreme Court? Does he go to Congress? Does he victimize himself? Let's see if the Eight of Swords shows up. Lesson we learn is the Page of Cups. He's not reasonable. He just, he's going to be emotional on this one too. Back to the person who gave some bad advice. He's going to want to lean on them, to lean on his people to figure out what the next step is that he can continue doing what he's doing. So we go to the big organizations. Okay, the Hierophant. Again, the Congress or the Supreme Court? Congress. He's relying on Republicans. Things that are done quietly behind the scenes. Where he's revered. There's at least three people revering him. The Hanged Man. Looking at things from a different perspective. I don't know. I think he actually wants to go to the Supreme Court with this, and I would say that it's the Supreme Court because they owe him favors. There's 3 judges. He put 3 justices on there that owe him favors. I would be concerned, though, because I don't know if they will uphold what he's got going on. Not to mention, it's going to take time for this to go through the courts because the Supreme Court just heard a bunch of cases and they're going to be issuing a bunch of rulings on this. And even though I believe they call this the Emergency Powers Act, is that what the idea here? Hang on for a second. Had to go to the different article. The Emergency Powers Law. So he might want to go to the Supreme Court and try and get something done quickly because, well, this is an emergency. And so, therefore, this trumps everything else. This is the highest priority for the country. But it's also, is it really an emergency? It's pretty well spelled out that Congress is in charge of the purse strings and Congress is in charge of tariffs. And that's Congress's job to do that. Now, Congress has deferred it to the executive branch, but this court ruling basically says you can't do that. You have greatly exceeded the authority that you're given. And again, the states knew this, which is why they were challenging it. And it took a while for those court cases to work their way through. So I imagine there's going to be appeals. Maybe he gets a stay on it. But eventually, it looks like he'll try and get this to the Supreme Court. Which then leads to, given the current energies, will the Supreme Court uphold the lower court's ruling and say, no, you've exceeded your authority? Ace of Swords, there's a new truth regarding the tariffs and controlling the money. There's that Queen of Wands again. This card keeps showing up. I just watched or listened to Libby do a reading while I was driving into work today, and the Queen of Wands kept showing up with hers too. Now, I don't know if this is a particular woman in charge who's doing this, if this is a collective energy, but there's a driving feminine force, at least under the Supreme Court, that does this. Maybe Amy Coney Barrett's a deciding vote if he goes that. Will the Supreme Court do it? You're looking at integrity and delusions, as it were. There's Trump again wanting to control that monetary policy. It's almost like 4 justices would support him on this. Problem is, you need 5. He wants to hold control, moving forward with a plan. Heartbreak, betrayal. No, he doesn't get it. He's not going to get it. He's going in there expecting 6 justices supporting his policy. But I think Amy Coney, if this was Amy Coney Barrett, for instance, or the female energy, they're saying you can't do what you're doing. I believe Libby was also saying this is internal energy. So there's this internal energy that you can't do what you're doing. You're delusional to think you have that power. You don't have the power of the purse. That power of the purse belongs with Congress, not with you, even if they give you the authority to do stuff. You can't do it. So for Trump, they're betraying him because they're following the Constitution. So he'll challenge it. And given everything as the way it is right now, better follow the Constitution. Constitution doesn't give him the ability to levy tariffs. Now, if he wants to make a constitutional amendment, get 2/3 of Congress to vote for it and like 75-80% of the states to vote for it, well, you go right ahead. It's going to be a few years. You have to lick his wounds. All right. Last little four-carder. What else can you share with me, Spirit, about this court decision, Trump's Taco Tuesdays, his actions going forward, anything about the tariffs you want to share, maybe even the spiritual meaning of all this? What can you share with us? Last go. Burden. It's going to be hard times. There's hard times coming. We need cooperation, working together to take care of people during hard times. Kind of like, this is like the anti-tariff card. I had this one earlier in that position. This is like the anti-tariff card. Agreeing with people on treaties and such, as opposed to fighting with them. Working together for the betterment of all when we're all struggling. And the Lover's card underneath it. Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be making when people's lives are hard, you should be trying to go back to basics to take care of their basic needs. Working together. A lot of collaboration so that people have enough during hard times. It's how you show divinity and love for people. Okay, that's a cool ending to this story. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.